They're very, very upset over Donald Trump sounding like a racist, they say, at the Tuesday cabinet meeting by saying the following. Stop 4.
I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks.
Somalis.
And we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. I can say it about other countries, too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. We could go one way or the other. And we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country. Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. But when they come from hell and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
In response to which the vast majority of Americans were like, yeah, tracks. But no, if you listen to NPR, if you listen to MSNBC, if you read the New York Times, he's a racist. And if you shook your head yes in response to that, you too are a racist, Michael Knowles.
I loved that clip so much. It was just after Thanksgiving. And, you know, for some, I am the crazy conservative uncle at Thanksgiving. I try to be put together, polite and accommodating. But, you know, you would say, hey, come on, don't get political at dinner. I say, all right, I won't get political. Don't worry. And then I have one sip of beer, and I'm just trying. I don't want them in our country. Ilhan's trash. I want them out. They contribute nothing. And most people agree with that. And I think it's not even just to beat up on the Somalis in particular, even though they have taken over a major American city, defrauded the taxpayers, and funded terrorism overseas, and complained about it the whole time, and married their brother, and violated immigration law. And we could go on and on and on. But I don't mean to beat up on them.
With our money.
So, you know,
No.
the real issue here is you have to ask, why did we bring them here? What is this? What is immigration for? I mean, that's really the point that Trump is getting us to. And, you know, he uses provocative language to get us to pay attention. And now that's what we're debating. What do the Somalis bring? They don't really contribute anything. They have a 60% poverty rate in Minneapolis. They have what is it? 40% education rate. They don't really contribute anything. And you say, okay, well, are they here because they're suffering some particular persecution, and as a charitable policy of the U.S., we're taking them in as refugees? Not really. It's just that their country is generally bad. Okay, well, there are plenty of generally bad countries in the world. We're not going to take them all in. Our country wouldn't survive 5 minutes if that were the case. Okay, are we taking them in because... Have we aggrieved them in some way? That's sometimes an argument for bringing people to the country. No, we've only ever tried to help Somalia. We've only ever been nice to them. We can't say that for every country in the world, but to Somalia, yeah, we've basically only ever tried to be nice to them. And so we don't owe them anything in particular. So what's it for? And the only answer that the liberals ultimately can give is, well, because we're bad and they're different, and so we're going to bring them in, and that's it. And because we don't like you, Native American population, we don't like you, most voters. Yeah. And that's what we're going to do. I mean, and some of them go even further than that, and they say we want to bring in totally different people because that's going to change the electorate, and then we'll win more elections. Okay, well, that doesn't work for me. Okay, and I'll tell you, this is a really beautiful moment of clarity, because when I was a kid, there were two views that you were allowed to have on immigration. You could either want more illegal immigration, or you could want only more legal immigration. But you had to want more migration. That was everything else.
That's
was beyond
so
the pale.
true.
Now I think people are beginning to say, hold on, I don't only care about the procedural norm of how the migrants come in. We have the highest foreign-born percentage of the population ever. What if I just want less migration? And let me say something even more verboten that you couldn't say for many years. It seems pretty clear at this point that some people are easier to assimilate than others. If we share, the same religion, the same language, the same traditions, the same institutions, in some cases, the same broad family because we came from England. Okay, maybe those guys are easier to assimilate. And I'll go one step further. Maybe some people as groups contribute more to the country than others. These were all things you were not allowed to say 10 or 20 years ago, and yet these are all things that are true. They have been part of the conversation around immigration going back to classical antiquity by some of the most moral and brilliant political thinkers of all time, and Trump's bringing it back, and the libs can whine about it, but his message is resonating because he's stating the truth.
It should be harder to get into the United States than it is to get into Yale. It really should. We should be having that level of screening, like aptitude tests, background checks, assessment of whether they are paying, contributing members to society in the place from which they hail. And other than that, only the most dire asylum claims should be even considered, and from people who were rejected for some other reason can't go to a different country for asylum. I'm not sure why the United States would be the first place of refuge for virtually anyone other than a Canadian. It's just that's what Trump is trying to change. And by the way, you can call it racist all you want, but what he said about Somalia is true. We just did a quick fact check on Somalian crime from the U.S. State Department. Violent crimes common throughout Somalia, including kidnapping, murder, illegal roadblocks, widespread. Terrorists continue to plot kidnappings, bombings, and other attacks there. They may attack with little to no warning. Airports, government buildings, hotels, restaurants, shopping areas, public places that attract large crowds and tourists. Trump says they've taken billions of dollars from our country. Yep, they have. They looted taxpayers over $1 billion in Minneapolis that was intended for child food assistance. And they're sending it back home to Somalia, reportedly to Al-Shabaab, some portion of it, a terrorist group that's doing some of that stuff I just ticked off. 78 of the 86 individuals charged so far are Somalis. So just stop with your stupid, it's racist. It's true. And by the way, he wasn't even saying that it's every Somali. He was talking about people like Ilhan Omar, who honestly is awful, and people who are committing fraud against us, who take advantage of our good graces and our nice invitation to have them here and give them taxpayer money and defraud us. What should he be calling them? Heroes? People to look up to? I think garbage is more than fair for anybody. It doesn't, you're not allowed to say it though because they're black, and under New York Times and NPR rules, they can't be criticized.
Well, in that case, then I'll turn our attention to people who are not black but only slightly brown, because I think it clarifies it too. When J.D. Vance was doing that famous interview in which he was arguing over importing Afghanis, and the liberal interviewer kept giving all of these justifications for doing it, and he said, look, frankly, Margaret, I don't care. I don't want these people in my country. And he was truly the voice of the American people in particular at that moment. And he was ultimately tragically proven right just the day before Thanksgiving when the Afghan supposed refugees and allies shot two of our National Guardsmen. J.D. Vance was just reacting to the fact that our supposed Afghan allies and refugees plotted a terror attack on Election Day of 2024. And so you can give all of the justifications in the world, dubious though they may be, on why we really must to bring in Afghanis and Somalis and people who are very, very difficult to assimilate from third world dangerous places who pose a real threat to the American political order and to Americans in a very direct way. You can come up with all those rationalizations you want, but frankly, Margaret, we don't care. We don't want those people in the country. We're Americans, and we have a right to our own country. We're supposedly a self-government here. I think, don't you guys always exalt our sacred democracy and how, well, look, if we don't have a right to determine who comes in, who milks the taxpayer money, hitting the dole and welfare, who ultimately get on the voter rolls, and certainly whose children get on the voter rolls, and who fundamentally transform our government and our political society, then you know what? We don't have a country, and we don't have a democracy. We don't have anything like it. So you can come up with all the explanations you want as to how Somalia is so great, and it's just been misunderstood for eternity. But frankly, Margaret, we don't care. And that message is the one that's going to resonate.
Frankly, Margaret, we don't give a damn.
Ever read the label on a typical bag of chips? It's often a science experiment of seed oils, MSG, artificial dyes, and mystery ingredients. Masa is part of the growing movement to bring back real food. Masa chips contain just 3 ingredients: organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. Not only do these chips avoid the bad stuff, they also taste delicious too. Snacking on Masa chips is nothing like eating regular chips. With Masa, you feel satisfied, light, and energetic with no crash and no bloat. And if you love masa, then you will love Vandy Crisps. Vandy, which is Masa's sister company, makes the most delicious 3-ingredient potato chips too. Ready to give masa or Vandy a try? Use code MK for 25% off your first order at masachips.com or vandycrisps.com, or simply click the link in the video description or scan the QR code to claim this delicious offer. Don't feel like ordering online? Masa and Vandy are now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket. Stop by and pick a couple of bags up before they're all gone.
Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.